Welcome to the Bay Insider with Amanda and Ying, where we talk about history, lifestyle, and real estate in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Raphael House transforms painful circumstances into positive outcomes. Our on-site mental health services help families navigate the emotional trauma caused by being homeless. Our children's programming is designed to immediately reestablish the bond between parent and child.
We love Raphael House!
Welcome back to the Bay Insider. Today we are going to have a special edition where we're going to be talking about the Raphael House. And Raphael House is an organization in San Francisco that started in 1971 to help support homeless families in San Francisco. Their mission statement is that Raphael House supports low-income families and families experiencing homelessness and strengthening family bonds, finding stable housing, and achieving financial independence. Just up until this year, they have public funding, but they've been privately funded since 1971. And with me today, I have Ying, as usual, and our special guest is Teresa Van Woy, who is somebody who actually stayed at Raphael House. I guess it would have been 3 years after they started in 1974.
Yeah.
And how old were you at the time?
7.
Okay. So that was definitely very formative early years. And now Teresa is on the Executive Leadership Council with myself for the Raphael House, kind of helping to get awareness around the organization. She's a podiatrist, a world traveler, a YouTuber, and also I saw that you work on woodworking for driftwood, which I thought was very cool. There was a video on your YouTube.
All right. Do you make like coffee tables?
No, I do more sculptures.
Okay, that's lovely.
Abstract.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very cool. I was like a Jill of all trades, I guess. That's what you could say.
Well-rounded.
Yeah, exactly. So what I would love to hear about, as our audience would as well, is kind of what was your experience, your introduction to Raphael House and how it had an impact on your life? A little bit about your background.
Sure. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. So my background, like you said, it started in 1974 when I was 7. I was living in Florida with both my parents and my 8 siblings. And
8.
There's 9 of us.
Wow.
And I had just finished the 2nd grade, and we came home from school, and in our front yard was a little camper on the back of a Ford pickup truck. And my mother said she was going to take us on a fun summer vacation. So we were all so excited. We packed up the camper, all 9 of us kids piled in, and off we went. And during the trip, none of us really knew where we were headed, not even my mom.
And what ages were you, like the
age range.
So it went from my oldest sister's 9 years older than me. Then it was like boom, boom, boom every year.
Wow.
To my brother above me was 2 years, and then the twins below me are 5 years younger.
Oh,
My
wow.
goodness.
So they were 2.
They were 2.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
And you all fit in the camper.
We crammed in the camper.
Okay.
It was a very small camper.
I can imagine. And your father wasn't there.
He was not there.
So your mom left without him.
Yes.
Okay.
And what we didn't realize at the time was that she really had no intention of ever moving back home to be back with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we headed. Finally, she said she's always wanted to see San Francisco. So that's where we headed. And money was really tight. In order to eat, we were digging in garbage cans and climbing in dumpsters. And when we got to the city, most of the days we spent like at the Civic Center area because they had the big square there, and we could run around and play in the fountains or go to the library. Or one of the buildings showed a free movie every day. And then we'd pile in the camper, and she'd drive around finding a place for us to sleep at a park. And almost nightly, there'd be a pounding at the door, and the cops would come and tell us we had to move. One of the nights, we got to a park, and we realized my oldest sister wasn't with us.
And she was 16 at the time.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. And we were all panicked. We drove around shouting her name out the camper window, and it wasn't until like 10 o'clock that night when we found her on Van Ness Street, outside of one of the buildings with a police officer. She was shivering cold and scared to death. And it was that officer who told us about Raphael House.
Oh my goodness. And I'm just thinking, like, there's just so much emotion in me right now, just thinking about what you guys went through. And I started with your mother, who left. It must have been a horrible situation for her to, take all the kids with her, not knowing where she wanted to go, and not knowing how she would support all of you. But yet she had this mountain of responsibility on her. And I just can't imagine the emotional state she was in, driving you kids around every day, trying to figure out where to sleep, and where the next meal is coming from. That's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. We found St. Anthony's dining room, which was a great place for our family, where we got our free meals during the day.
So how long did it take you to drive across the country from Florida? Because that's quite a distance.
Well, it took a while because we kind of zigzagged everywhere. We even went down to Tijuana. I don't think my mom had any plan.
Mm-hmm.
She was just looking at the map. She'd point her finger and say, "Well, let's go there." And then she liked Reno. We could have ended up in Reno, and then we just kept going west. And
so was it that she was unstable in general?
yeah, she was very unstable.
Yeah,
a lot of mental illness, my mom, and she was also escaping. I guess her and my dad were in the process of getting a divorce, which we didn't really know at the time.
Yeah.
And they were already discussing splitting up the family and who would get who.
And that is so hard with that many kids and having those circumstances on top of everything.
Yeah.
That is difficult. And then you made it to San Francisco. And how long were you in San Francisco before the incident happened with your sister where you met the police officer?
I'd say at least a few weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was that frightening? I mean, did you kind of know what was going on at that point?
It was so scary.
Yeah.
If you can imagine being in the Civic Center area of all places. I came from Jacksonville, Florida, and it was just kind of this slow moving, but coming to this fast-paced city where you're seeing all kinds of things. Like, I can't even tell you all the things we saw and experienced, and just being on the street and hanging out there all day, kind of running around by ourselves. There were so many of us. I'd be with one of my brothers, and 7 and 9, we'd be running around exploring.
Wow. I can't imagine how that feels. I do have a single mother who raised me, and, we were not well off, but we did always have a home. So that was the one thing. And actually, when my mom and dad divorced, that was the very, very lucky thing that they didn't force the sale of the house, and they made an agreement that would go until I was 21 years old. And so my mom was allowed to stay in the house and had that. And that stability, I think, is a huge thing, and that's a big reason why I think Raphael House is so important. So when you met this police officer and they referred you to Raphael House, tell us a little bit about what happened from that moment on when you first stepped foot in Raphael House.
Yeah, so Raphael House back then was a little bit different. It was run by nuns. And one of the sisters opened the door and welcomed us all in, and she was just amazed to see this police officer with this one woman with 9 kids. And I remember she counted each of us as we walked in, and she said to my mom, she's like, "Wow, what a beautiful big family you have." But Raphael House, it was just such. Who would have ever known as a kid that it was a homeless shelter? Never. It was a very warm, welcoming, comfortable place, and a place with soft, comfortable beds. And we were freezing in the camper, and I was sleeping on the floor under the pull-out bed in the camper. And it was freezing cold in San Francisco. To have this nice, warm, cozy room where we're all together as a family.
Yeah.
And we had breakfast in the morning, and back then the nuns every morning would pull out their guitars and they'd sing the Cat Stevens song, Morning Has Broken.
Oh, really?
That is so beautiful.
Yeah, while we'd have our breakfast, it was like their grace. I mean, it was a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I remember the priest would come. He didn't stay there. And he would come and read us stories at night. And it was like this story time with him. And he'd smoke a pipe with apple tobacco.
So was Raphael House associated with a church back then?
It was run by nuns.
Okay.
So to be honest, I'm not sure like which church.
Yeah, and I don't remember when it changed and became more of a secular organization.
So at that time, were there many other families at Raphael House? Do you remember?
I don't fully remember. There was a big difference in Raphael House then and now.
Sure.
So Raphael House back then was a place to sleep at night and have breakfast, but then you had to be gone all day. That's what's different about today. So I started school while I was living there. I started 3rd grade, and I would get up, have breakfast, go to school, and then we'd hang out at the park until it was time to go back at night. But I mainly remembered my siblings. We all hung out together more than the other families, what I
Right.
remember.
And I think it started in 1971. I think they moved to their current location in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it was different location.
so it was a different location. I think it was at Goff and McAllister.
Yeah.
And now it's on Sutter between Larkin and Hyde. And they're redoing the roof garden, which is just an incredible area for the kids to play and stuff. But they've grown for sure. I think they originally started being able to have beds for 12, maybe. I think they're up to 50.
When I first heard your story, when I started reading through the material, I thought about the movie In Pursuit of Happiness. So I went back to watch, some scenes, because that movie was filmed in San Francisco. And that was one scene that Will Smith and his son were waiting to get into a shelter just for the night. And they missed the cutoff. Like they didn't have a place to stay at night. They end up at a BART station, Glen Park BART station, and he locked the bathroom. They were basically sleeping on top of a toilet paper, and people trying to get in the door. I don't know if you remember that. It's just there's a lot of similarity between what you experienced and what this movie showed us.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
And that's one of the wonderful things about Raphael House now is that it is like a home for these families until they can
Right.
get back on their feet.
Right.
So they don't have to go and reapply every night or make it before the deadline.
Exactly, the 5 o'clock or the line, right? In the movie, it was like literally right before him. They said, we're running out of spots. He said, how can you take my son, the little kid?
Yeah.
And that's just, it's so hard. It is so hard.
Yeah, and Raphael House, like I said, up until this past year, right, had been completely privately funded. And one of the reasons they hadn't gotten public funding before is because they wanted to be a dry house and where people are not allowed to drink
So
and staying there.
public funding means they will not be able to do that?
That was the case. Now that is no longer the case. So they can still be a dry facility and they have public funding.
Okay.
So that's a portion of what they do. They're still largely privately funded, which is why it's important, the work that we're doing to try to raise awareness and get people involved in all kinds of different ways. I started volunteering at Raphael House in 2000. I was working at Advent Software, and they did, one of the corporate group volunteer things, and we went and we worked in the kitchen there. And I was just so blown away with the family atmosphere that they had there that felt very different than a lot of the other programs, where it is kind of like, well, here's a bed and there's a whole bunch of beds in the same room, and you don't, maybe it doesn't feel as safe, and especially for a family unit that wants to stay together.
Okay.
So they had tables where the whole family would sit together at their own table.
So basically, Raphael House is more focused on family.
Yes.
Families in transition, right?
Yes.
Mostly they're single mothers with kids, is my understanding. Is
They
that
allow
right?
the men in also, so
Okay.
it's not just the women.
Right, but more women than men probably, right?
In general, it used to be only women, was my understanding, but now it's the men.
Oh, so there
are
were rules,
allowed as
only
well.
women.
And
Okay.
there's some single fathers, and then there's some
Right.
Yeah.
married couples too, as well, I think.
Okay.
And then the families get their own room where they can be together and have some privacy.
Yeah.
They have art programs. They have reading, tutorial. They have a really nice library. So they do what I also think is really great about what they do is they don't just triage the situation. They work with those families long term. So they have what's called a bridge program, which is huge. I mean, that's amazing. And with that supportive work, they do, job training, help with like the kids' backpack, getting things ready
Lunch.
for school.
Okay. Oh, the backpack program.
Backpacks,
Okay.
like, making sure that they have
Sure.
supplies and things like that,
Got it.
which really helps with the long-term success. So the people who are involved in those bridge programs, I think 90% of those families stay in long-term housing, right? Is that your understanding?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where do they end up generally? The long-term housing. Are they like
Oh, it might be an apartment or a house that they rent or
okay? And do they generally end up with a job? Or
yeah, that's
some
part
kind
of the bridge program is making sure that they have a job and they're able to support themselves and to be able to go out there and make it on their own.
which is very important, right? I mean,
Very important. And then even afterwards, they still keep in touch with the families.
keen
ensure
on them,
that-
make sure they stay on track because
Yeah.
sometimes something happens and they
They
might end
Need
up
a little
homeless.
extra help. The vast majority of people that go through their program do find long-term housing that is
95% of them.
Which is great.
95, that's right, 95%. And that's huge because if
Huge.
you look at other programs in San Francisco, they're not as helpful. There's a program that my friend is involved in that has just been created that they're working on. But a lot of times it's a matter of like immediate triage and then out
Yeah.
the door.
But
Immediate triage and then out the door. And then they're back the next day, right? with
That's
more
generally
problems.
the issue, right? People are not fixing the root cause.
Yeah.
It's surface level or immediate needs. But then once the immediate needs get satisfied, what then, right? You still haven't addressed the main issue is they don't have the ability to support themselves.
Right. And job training and understanding how to interview for a job and all
Right.
of those kinds of skills that,
Yeah.
aren't always easy to come by
Yeah.
when you're living day to day in a stressful situation, I would imagine. Of the organizations that I'm aware of in San Francisco, I really think they do the most comprehensive job. And they have increased their ability to work with families. In the grand scheme of things, it's still a small percentage of people that need help
Yeah.
in the city.
So I assume not everyone who want to get in Raphael House get in, right? Like, is there an application process, or like how does that work?
There is an application process. And,
Okay.
like what Amanda said is, no drugs, no alcohol. So they have to be clean before coming in.
Okay.
And I guess it's based on the need.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how the process goes?
And I know that they have rules for sure that are pretty strict in terms of what they have to do, I think, regarding curfew and things like that. So there are also, families that find it's not a fit for them because they don't want to adhere to the structure that's there.
Yeah.
But for those families that do, it's a great opportunity and it's a great system that supports those people all the way through getting their housing and then beyond. Like we already said, I think that's what's so important because so many people who have been disadvantaged or have had abusive situations or trauma, if you don't get that ongoing support, it's so easy to get lost, right? To get lost in the shuffle or feel like people don't care.
It's
Dealing
also
with
very
coping.
hard to get out that loop,
Cycle.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because once you're on it, like I'm thinking about people who are making the minimum wage, and it's not enough. What do? How do they get out of it? Take another job? Then the kid will be neglected. I mean, there are just many, many things happen along that line. So they really need more help to get out that vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 10,000 families have been helped since they opened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a lot of people who are on a path that are going to be doing positive things instead of the alternative for them and
Exactly.
society.
Yeah.
Right?
For sure.
So you have 8 siblings, so there are 9 of you.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to the rest of them? Like, what impact does Raphael House have on their lives? If you can share with us.
Sure. So while staying at Raphael House, because it was a summer trip, it became the end of the summer, school was getting ready to start.
Yeah.
My mom sent half of my siblings back home to Florida. So it was the most devastating thing ever. And just another reason why it was just so great to just have the comfort of being there. Myself, my sister, who's 5 years older than me, and then my twin brothers, who are 5 years younger than me, we stayed in San Francisco.
Okay.
We went to the Greyhound bus station. We didn't know it until that morning that they were going to be leaving.
Oh, gosh.
And my oldest sister, who went back to Florida, had a really hard time with it. I know, well, we all did. You know, my brother, who was 2 years older than me, we were best friends. But, yeah, so we were separated, and the 4 of us, and my mom stayed at Raphael House for a few months, where my other siblings stayed probably for a few weeks before they left.
Yeah.
And luckily, every one of us broke the cycle. No one's repeating any of the things
Wow.
that we
Out
went
of
through.
9, that's amazing.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. I'm very happy to hear that.
So now you're in touch with your siblings
Oh, yeah.
again, I'd assume, right? You
Yeah.
kind of reconnected with all of
Oh,
them.
we're all very close.
That's
Yeah.
good.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy
Yeah.
to hear that.
Yeah.
And we'd see each other during the summers, most of the time. And,
Okay.
you know, one by one, as they got older, they kind of quit coming because it was always this crazy chaos of taking a trip somewhere in the camper with my mom. But, yeah, and I think it's part of it, you know, we have a tight bond and
Yeah.
helped pull us through some of the craziness that we dealt with as
Awesome.
kids.
And I'm assuming that the fact you are deeply involved in the organization today is because it made a huge impact in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you just elaborate for us a little bit? What do you think changed?
I still remember the fear I had as a kid, and being on the streets, and so the safety that I felt there, and being able to have the comfort and to be able to do my homework at a place that had a light and where I could read by, and you know, school was hard. 3rd grade was hard. You know, I'm just so thankful that I had a place where I could go and do my homework and get work done, and just having a routine, because we dealt with chaos the entire summer, and having a schedule. And I think just in general for, you know, any kid, it's so important to have that routine and safety, feeling secure.
Well, they say that's like the basis of everything, right? Don't get too hungry, tired, or
Food, water, and shelter.
And as
then
long
you go
as
up.
you have those, then you can
Maslow's
start to put other things on top of it. But if you're feeling food insecure, or you're feeling traumas in your daily life, insecurity of having no routine, then to be able to get your brain to work right to even do that homework or to concentrate in any way is a huge hurdle.
And
It's
not
called
having
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Oh, yeah. And not having a cop wake us up in the middle of the night, and to actually be able to sleep through the night.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
huge.
that's... And too many people are dealing with those types of situations,
Yeah.
you know? There's just such a chasm right now between have and have not. And so, you know, programs like Raphael House are so important. And we're both on the Executive Leadership Council. We really want to get the word out. I think Teresa's story is incredibly powerful. And for anybody who wants to get involved or help, We will have links in the show notes. The holidays are coming up. They do the gifts for the families, adopt a family. Or do gifts for a certain family that's staying there. Obviously, just any kind of fundraising of money to the organization is helpful. They do some corporate volunteering. Of course, corporate matching programs are always good. But just learning about the organization and spreading the word and letting people know that this exists, I think, is helpful.
How would people even find out about the program?
I think you do have to be referred to the program. I don't think you can just walk in the door.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
too
that's
sure.
right.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us about your story. And if anybody wants to learn more about Teresa's background and her story, she has a book called Wildflower, which is about your history. And can you tell people how they can find that?
Sure. It's called Wildflower, A Tale of Transcendence, and it's on Amazon, or you can request it at any of your favorite bookstores.
Yeah, and it's on book
And
on tape, too. You can listen to it
it's
if you don't have time to
audiobook.
read a paper book.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now I'm going to read it.
Yeah, you should. It's good.
Oh, one more thing.
yes.
People can go and have a tour of Raphael House,
Good
and
point.
we do encourage that.
Yeah.
And I'd be also more than happy to lead one of the tours if anyone was interested.
Okay.
But it's a great place to go visit. It's very different than what you would expect to see at a homeless shelter. It really is more like a home in
Yeah.
a sense.
If you want to learn more and
Yeah.
really see what it's about, you can
Yeah.
go there and take a tour. And as we're saying this, we'll be playing the video that Teresa did. She did like a mini YouTube tour,
nice.
which the real thing in person is more impactful. But just to kind of see, you can see the reading room and all the different areas what the rooms are like, the artwork that's on the walls, which is lovely. And then I don't know when the finish date is, but they're redoing the roof deck. So it's this big, tall building right into the Tenderloin. And it has a roof deck where they have basically a big,
Yeah,
huge
play structure
play
and
structure,
garden.
playground,
On the rooftop.
vegetables. They're growing
Grown
flowers.
vegetables. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's really pretty spectacular. And it's been closed for a while because they
Okay.
had some roof issues, but luckily they got the funding
Okay.
and they've made the roof repairs. Do you know when that's opening?
I don't know.
Because that would be a great thing to go and see. Do
Take
a
some
tour and
pictures.
see the newly opened
Oh, yeah.
roof garden, because that is really special. It is.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. I hope that people learned a little bit about Raphael House, and we will
Thank
see
you
you on the
for
next
having
one.
me.
Thank you.